Hello, everyone. I have interacted to almost half of you, so you know me here and there. In fact, let me share my expanded. Okay. Yeah, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge the Wajak people, the traditional custodians of the land where I am at this moment, and extend my respect to Australian First Nation, recognizing their connection to land, sea, and communities. And I also want to pay my respect to the elders, past and present, of this beautiful land that you are all about to visit in a few minutes, in a few weeks. And yeah, so I am ICOMOS Brazil, but I have a dual personality at ICOMOS because I work in Brazil, but I live in Australia, in Perth, Western Australia. And I work in both countries supporting different projects, but with the same focus. I work in a different area than Emma and Lydia. I work with people. I work with indigenous people and traditional communities. So at the moment, we have a strong link under the same approach, under the same methodologies of working between Amazon in Pará, in Brazil, state of Pará in Brazil, and the Western Australia state in Australia. Our approach is basically the same. We appreciate the way that the Sustainable Development Goals are presented by UN, but our approach, because we talk about people, is more integrated view as a holistic approach. Is the same way we see culture from the perspective of indigenous people. I am indigenous descendant, by the way. My father and my grandfather are from the tribe Kamekran in Amazon. So I have this, I share the same view. So this view is work on hollows, where survival is in the core of this hollows, where we believe that hunger and poverty is not a goal per se, but something that needs to be provided for us to implement any goal, any project. Otherwise, nobody with no food and or with no security, minimal security, housing or protection can be engaged in any project. And it's what we are fighting, not fighting, but work at the moment to give at least basic rights to food and to housing for indigenous people in Brazil and Aboriginal people in Australia. The base of my work, of our work, is work on the concept of inclusive sustainable development. We talk about sustainable development all the time, and on working with indigenous people, we don't believe, in fact, in sustainable development. Every time you have a development, someone will be hurt, and when someone is hurt, it's not sustainable. So both in Amazon and in Western Australia, the hurt people are the indigenous people. So our work is based on the inclusiveness, how we can bring the people to decide in the decision-making process and to co-manage the projects and plans together with government and industry under a human rights oriented approach, people-centered, cultural-based, aligned with the SDGs and with the UN DRIP, the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. So ICOMOS Brazil, in general, as a national institution has 450 members, and its activities are very focused on climate change and cultural heritage assessments and reporting on the conditions and the preservation of World Heritage sites. Not just net cultural sites, but natural sites as well. We are in Brazil, we are healing. Amazon, mainly Amazon in Brazil, we are coming from 40 years where all our preservation environment policies were practically destroyed. So now this year we are because of the political framework. Now the political scenario changed, and the new group of politicians are trying to rebuild what was destroyed, but there are some things that are gone forever. So many fire burns, deforestation, so hundreds and hundreds of leaders, indigenous leaders, were killed, activists, journalists. So it was really a chaotic situation in the past 40 years. So there are some things that cannot be rebuilt. We need to do something different. So ICOMOS is working on this living heritage preservation first. So work with people, mainly indigenous people, on technical reports and climate risk preparedness, risk mapping, to prepare people to rebuild their environments and not rescue, but safeguarding their cultures. Personally, I work with Pará. It's here. It's the middle of I don't know if you can see this arrow here. State of Pará is leading the policies in the Amazon. Amazon in Brazil is comprised by 9 states, and the governor of Pará is the president of the consortium of Amazon, and we are preparing the COP30 that will be in Pará in 2 years. So everybody will be there. So since now, a lot of things are happening there. So I'm providing support for the government there to the development of alignment of the local policies with SDGs principles. And our baby project that we like the most, I like the most, sorry, is the School of the Forest. Is a regenerative sustainability project where we are mapping cultural value, but under anthropological approach, bringing ancestral traditional knowledge and joined this traditional knowledge with modern technology to find better solutions and create a database with these cultural landscape values and investing on educational programs that can guarantee the intergenerational transmission of knowledge. We did last year, we are very worried about this accessibility to knowledge. So almost everything that's published is in English. And I don't know if you know, but Brazilians, 92% of Brazilians are very poor. So they don't have this access. It's complicated for universities to have translations. So I invested in translate the heritage and sustainable development goals policy guidance to Portuguese. And I worked with ICOMOS Portugal because we have at least three different types of Portuguese language. One is the Brazilian Portuguese, another one is the Portuguese from Portugal, and another one is the Portuguese from the former colonies in Africa and in Asia. So, and they are quite different. So, ICOMOS Portugal, we work together to get a shared version of understandable Portuguese for all of us. It was launched no, it was launched this year, in fact, in April of this year in Lisbon. And now I am on the translation of the guidance and toolkit for impact assessments that was launched. I don't remember how many years ago, but it was launched by UNESCO and the ICOMOS, and it will be read by the end of the year, I hope. Here is Australia. So Western Australia is here, this yellow part. We are on the social movement here to guarantee the rights of indigenous people and the alignment of the policies with the sustainable development goals. And while Brazil is healing, indigenous people in Brazil are healing, indigenous people in Australia are fighting. And I am with them because it's very hard to make any progress here because of the economic power. Mainly Western Australia because of the mining industry. Example is we worked here for 4 years on a new legislation for cultural heritage protection, Aboriginal cultural heritage protection. And after 4 years, so many millions of dollars, and so thousands of people involved. The law was finally implemented, and after 18 months of implementation, 3 days ago, the law was repealed, it was cancelled. So we are back to a former law that was launched 51 years ago. So it was a big loss for us here. We are grieving, we're still grieving on this. So this new law had as a main components the collaborative community engagement, the inclusiveness, and the protection of material cultural heritage. So now we are back to the material cultural heritage and total exclusion of indigenous people from the decision-making process. I think I reached my 10 minutes. So I will leave my presentation here. The cultural mapping I was going to present, but I have no time to talk about this. Gabriel.
Yeah, thank you very much, Karla. So I think it's wonderful to hear both your perspective from the side of Brazil and also what you're saying and what's happening in Australia.
Tell me about this.
Yeah, a lot of things can be told, and I mean, we will be discussing more on this. Just for Emma and our colleagues who are attending the GA 2023, Karla and Ananya are also doing a public engagement on living heritage and sustainable development that will be on the 5th, right, of the 5th of September.
5th, yeah.
So this is something similar to Tomeo and Fergus. They're also doing that, and from a different perspective. So I think it's good to hear this perspective. I would like to open the floor for any questions for Karla on what she has discussed. Any thoughts or provocations or ideas, or not? If I have, okay.
Yeah, I have
please.
a question, Karla. It was very nice, the way you spoke about the event-driven SDG alignment. Please share later over mail, and if there is any reference where I can learn more. It's very interesting, that using that lens.
Yeah, thanks. I have a question. I have a question for the School of the Forest. I'm quite interested. in the Philippines, there is what we call a School of Living Traditions, which is
Exactly the same. I am
okay.
using the model of School of Living Traditions.
I see. So, oh, that's why you got in touch with me and UNESCO for that one. Right.
Exactly. UNESCO, when I shared with UNESCO the idea I had, they immediately said to me, the Philippines has an amazing model. Then there are 28 schools there. You have to see what they are doing. They are perfect. So the School of the Forest in Brazil and the School of Living Cultures that I was going to present to you now, but I had no time. The School of Living Cultures that is going to be implemented here in Western Australia follow the model of the School of Living Traditions in the Philippines.
Right. Great. So I think that's good. So for those of us who are familiar with indigenous communities, in the Philippines, there is this kind of like method that our indigenous communities have a school that allows them to learn the mainstream knowledge, but at the same time traditional knowledge, and it is equivalent to the mainstream schools. And that is something that is supported by our national cultural agencies. And I do hope that more places will have that as well, right? Karla, you would once you get to know more, then please explain as well in Sydney and on this topic. I think that will be quite interesting.
Yeah. I searched a lot around the world, and we have two models. It is the School of Living Tradition and the Green School that's implemented today in New Zealand, Bali, and South Africa. So I can explain whenever you want. I can talk
Great,
about this. Mhm.
great. Any other questions? Any thoughts or um, good? We're okay. So as you all know, so these are our Karla. Thank you very much, and then also I must say thank you to you and Ona as well for the translation of the policy guidance. She said that earlier, which is now it is readable or a combined effort from Brazil, from Karla, and from ICOMOS Portugal. So that whole legibility of knowledge or and understanding is beyond one perspective, one language. So our Arab region is also doing the same. Care of Ona and Bayan was here earlier. They're also doing an Arab translation. So the nuances of different terminologies for different countries are being defined. So again, it is all about inclusivity, right? And not having that kind of knowledge to be shared together. Thank you, everyone. So this is I think we are coming to the end of our discussion.